Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me clearly. Thank you for a warm introduction, and very, very happy to be here today as a part of the World Fintech Festival Cambodia. Let me put up my slides a little bit. So as you know, okay, let's start here from me introducing myself more a little bit. So my name is Mameaw Sapprasert, and I am a partner of 500 Tuk-Tuks. We are a micro fund from 500 startups, and we typically focus in Thailand, CLMV countries, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam, and also the ones in Southeast Asia as well. And today I'm going to be talking about fintech by segment, winning and losing categories. So a little bit more about us before I go on and talk about the fintech segments. So 500 Startups is the most active global venture capital firm. We are the most active early stage investor in the world, and we are on the mission to uplift people and economies around the world through entrepreneurship. So far, we have backed more than 2,500 companies, or about 5,000 entrepreneurs in 75 countries all over the world. And for 500 Tuk-Tuks, as mentioned before, we typically focus on seed stage up until pre-series A, and we do invest in Thailand, CLMV, and Southeast Asia. We have a total number of 2 funds, and we invest in a total of 80 companies and still counting. Also, we are sector agnostic, which means we invest in every sector, not just only fintech or any industry specific. And since we are the most active early stage investor, that would make us the most active fintech venture capital also. And this is the slide from CB Insight. It's counted from 2019 to 2020 Q2. We are actually on the 2nd place, just right behind Sequoia, which is one of the most prestigious VC in the world. So since we are talking about fintech segments today, I would like to share with you guys that at 500 Startups, we divide fintech into 9 parent segments, which is financial infrastructure, accounting and audit, lending and investments, financial research, cryptocurrency, insurance, payments, grants and donations. And you know, well, I know every fintech players, they would know that actually the fintech segments are far more sophisticated. They categorize the fintech segments into 19 sectors. And even for lending, they even categorize into mortgage lendings, general lendings, personal lendings, business lendings. And I'm sure over the next coming years, there will be more and more new sectors coming because fintech is one of the most innovative industry in the world. So let's take a look at something more local. I would like to take an example from our actual investments here. As I mentioned before, that we invested in over 80 companies so far in both Thailand and Southeast Asia. And out of these 80 companies, we invested in 17 fintech companies, which is about 21% of all. And here at the little chart right here, I break down into the segments. We invested into 5 financial infrastructures, 3 lending and investments, 2 insurance, 2 payments, 2 crypto and blockchain, 2 accounting and audit, and 1 financial research. So what does this number actually tell us? Does it mean that we invest more in the financial infrastructure? Is it going to perform better than payment segment? The answer is actually no. When we decide to invest in a company, whether it's fintech or not, it actually depends on many factors and many criteria. But when we're talking about fintech, actually these 6 factors are the one most important to us when we are trying to make a decision whether to invest in a fintech company. So what do I mean by demand, barrier to entry, unfair advantage, trends, regulations, and founders? The demand, it simply means that it's the demand of the users. Let me take an example a little bit here. So in ASEAN countries, you probably realize that we have a lot of unbanked people, or the people who still have no credit records. So they are very, very difficult to get access into financial services. So the demand for the financial infrastructures in ASEAN countries is naturally higher than the ones in Europe or in the States. The next one, barrier to entry. Fintech is very unique in this way because there is a higher barrier to entry because a lot of our segments, they need for example, the license. And these licenses sometimes take really long time to obtain, or sometimes it's costly. So it's not like everyone can come into the sector and become your competitor. The next one, unfair advantage. I can share with you this example. In Thailand, there's an e-wallet service called True Money, and they have a very strong relationship with 7-Eleven, which is the convenience stores in Thailand that everybody has in front of the house. And we have like thousands of branches around in Thailand. So when we walk into the 7-Eleven and want to purchase something, and we want to use the 7-Eleven application to pay for the goods, then the e-wallet inside the 7-Eleven application is True Money. And that's a growth hack, right? They gain something that others don't have. Next one is the trend. Due to COVID-19, the trend here is everything touchless, right? And virtual. So it's just natural that everybody is paying more attention to making the payment touchless and cashless society. Next one is the regulations. It just basically how strict the central bank is and the law of each country of how easy it allows you to do business in that country. And last but not least, founders. I cannot emphasize this enough, that when we consider whether to invest, if your business is really good, but the founder is not strong enough and doesn't have the expertise in the field, then we would not invest in that company. So any founders or team that have expertise in the field of the fintech that they do would be a very, very plus. So I would like to you to take a look a bit at the Fintech Thailand startup map here. There are 96 startups on the map. I still see a few missing, but it's the most complete one so far. And I really thank Fintech Singapore for making the map for us. As you can see below, that Fintech startup in Thailand represents just 8% of the total ASEAN Fintech's landscape. And you can see the ones in the red circle here are the one that is our portfolio companies, the one that we invested in. We try to invest only 1 to 2, best one in each category. And that's the way we diversify our investments. It's impossible for us to pick only one segment and invest like 5 companies into that segment. So we have to kind of like, bet and pick 1 or 2 in each segment and bet on those 1 or 2 companies. Since I'm talking about the portfolio companies here, you might be wondering right now, who are the fintech portfolio maker for us? What are the base performing fintech in our portfolio companies, which I'm going to review in the next slide. So these are our Fintech Stars. I'm not sure if you have seen or heard of them before. So let me go through quickly about each one. The first one is called Singa. It's formerly known as Omise. You might probably heard about that. It's a Thailand-based payments company, but they also have another fintech products or other financial products And they also operate the coins called OMG. If you are in the crypto space, you probably have heard about them. They recently just closed the Series C back in June this year, led by one of the biggest commercial banks in Thailand. The next one is called Finexo. They're based in Indonesia. They're the parent company of the Credible, which is operating in the lending and credit space. They closed the Series C in December last year, and recently they just received an additional 100 million in funding. The next one is called Phenomena. Phenomena is a Thailand-based wealth management and robo-advisor platform. They just closed Series B in January this year, led by Open Space Ventures. And the last but not least is Pressing Social. They are the Singapore-based credit scoring service. They take the credit scoring service that is based on social media, websites, mobile data, because they realize that not everybody have access to credit cards or in the credit bureau space. So they take the one that is more relevant to our region instead. And this one, they just closed the Series B back in June this year. Because I don't have a lot of time today, if you are interested in these guys, please feel free to look up. So yeah, let's move on to the fintech fundraising activities in Thailand a bit. I put these guys that is Series A and above here. You can see that the total amount of fundraising is not a lot at all. It's even less than 200 million, which is very, very small comparing to Indonesia or Singapore, where fintech activities are very active. But what's interesting here is that out of 6 fundraising activities, payment took like half of it, like 3 out of 6 segments. This is also aligned with the Global Insights, where the top 10 global fintech deals, out of these 10 deals, actually, as you can see, number 4 here is a Stripe. I would like to count them as a payment also. So it's actually 5 out of 10 deals that is in payments categories. So obviously payment is number 1 in terms of fundraising this year. So after all I've been saying, I would like to review you guys what are the winning categories out of all according to my investment during the past 5 years. So I picked credit scoring, lendings, wealth management, and payments as the winning categories. Also, according to the deal room, payments and wealth management startups are also the main acquisition targets from the corporates. So lucky you if you happen to be doing fintech in the wealth management or the payment segment. And now who are actually on the other side of the table, I would like to avoid using the word losing categories because I don't believe anyone is losing. They're just operating in the more challenging environment. So here I picked crowdfunding, accounting and audit, personal finance, insurtech, and cryptocurrency as the challenging ones. You might be wondering why. So here it is. Crowdfunding, we actually invested in one as well, no longer exists. Well, they were facing regulatory issue because back in 4 or 5 years ago in Thailand, it wasn't allowed to have an equity crowdfunding, and the market adoption wasn't as expected. So the people in Thailand and in Southeast Asia, they still don't really know what crowdfunding is, how does it work, and they are not willing or feeling safe to put the money in the crowdfunding platform. So unfortunately, they could not go on. And well, during the past 3 or 4 years, I see a lot of development in this space, but it still remains a challenge. The second one, accounting audit. Actually, these guys is, it's not bad. Like they are usually very strong, but they usually have the slower growth than other sectors. And when you're talking about accounting audit, is the less sexier one than other sectors. So they might not be very strong in terms of fundraising. Next one is the personal finance. Well, this one, I think it's really helpful for everyone. But a lot of the companies that I saw, they have the revenue model issues. They offer the good service, but they cannot make enough revenue to go on. Insurtech. Actually, I put this in the challenging sector because, well, I personally believe that in the next few years, insurtech will be one of the very hot sector, and they will be able to raise a lot of funds in the coming years. But I put it in the challenging sector because they still have a lot of them that I've seen in Thailand and Southeast Asia. They still have to rely on the companies that actually have license. They put this in the revenue model that they have to make money from these companies that have license. So it's not really free for them to operate on their own. And last one is the cryptocurrency. In the past years, I've seen a lot of crypto and blockchain businesses come and go very fast. This might due to the volatility and also the regulatory issue. A lot of them, they require the license in order to operate. And if they don't pass the license test, then unfortunately, they cannot continue the operations. But despite all these winnings and losing sectors, I would like to restate that even though I put those guys in the winning sectors, but in next year and next few years, it might become a challenging sector. So it's not something that stays still, right? So if you happen to be in the challenging sector, so don't give up, because I believe everything is going to be better. And I still believe in fintech a lot as an investor, because first of all, it is complementary with other fast growing sectors, such as e-commerce and logistics. And COVID-19 actually pushed consumers to change their spending behavior inevitably. For example, my dad, he always been the one that, denied to use e-wallet or even the mobile banking because he's afraid that it's not safe enough. But with the COVID, everybody wants to go touchless and cashless. So he eventually uses the mobile payment now. And I'm really happy that everybody is moving towards the more smarter and more convenient way of using fintech and finance. And of course, fintech is the huge market to serve. Everybody must deal with finance, especially in the Southeast Asia that still have a lot of opportunity, and it's easier to scale. And I also noticed that banks in Thailand and I'm sure in Southeast Asia as well, they are open to collaborate, work, and also invest. They want to invest, they want to work with fintech so much because they realize that they are big and sometimes it's not very easy to move. So partnering or investing in fintech is actually favorable for them too. And also with the central banks, I see that they gradually eases the regulations. So it's a very good news for all. And as I mentioned before, fintech is one of the most innovative industries. We always come up with new financial products. So no matter in which sector you are in, you are equally important. You are contributing to the fintech ecosystem, and you make our life and our finance easier every day. So thank you.